Alright, let's see here. Let's see if I did this right. I want the bench overhead. Alrighty. Yeah, type me to death. That'll work. Typed. Alright. So I rearranged my desk completely. Let me know if the audio levels are good or not good. I need to turn the volume down or turn the mic up, let me know. Eventually what I'll need to do is figure out a way to hook a microphone into this monitor, or a headset into this monitor so I can hear the output. Hello! How's it going? Staying out of trouble? Watch me fix the board. I only unplugged this, or unboxed it, so I got two of these. I got this one and this one were both sent in to me. Both are doing reboots, apparently. This one I fired up. It booted up okay for me. This one is rebooting. I was hoping this was the one that was rebooting because it's got some nice creative workmanship down here. I don't know if you can see that real well. So, but this one actually is booting. So my goal with this one is to actually remove whatever that is on the back. Clean up all the flux, clean off whatever is on this back of this thing. Fix the trace on the top side of the board. And also there's a capacitor that was installed that looks like it actually could potentially be touching a trace. So this one works. So I'm not worried about that. Haven't fully tested it, but it was giving him an issue where it was keep rebooting the game. So the problem with Whitestar games is if the I/O board isn't hearing anything from the CPU board, it will reset the system. So he may be having a problem with that on the Sopranos, which kind of sucks because this board is working. So I'm going to clean it up and just check the traces down here to make sure that all the pins are actually doing activity during the ball search, because then we can see if that would be causing a reset. Also, someone has replaced this with machine pin sockets, which are not the greatest sockets to use, but some people like to use them anyways. Alright. On to the first one. This is what it does when you turn it on. Up here. So you turn it on, it just does this. This sound section is booting, so this light blinks. If this light doesn't blink or only blinks one time, there could potentially be several issues wrong with the sound section. If it won't take an OS update or it fails an OS update, this flash becomes corrupt, and you have to actually remove this flash chip and replace it with a reprogrammed flash chip. Good thing is I have the code for the updated flash chip that you can put in here. Also, another common problem that causes this is a bad PAL chip. Luckily, again, I can program those as well. They are not cheap when you need to order them, but unfortunately, I now can program them so that no longer cost $25 a pop, or whatever they're currently charging for them. This is $50 chip, which I have some in stock, which that doesn't cost me anywhere near $50. This chip I had to replace on one board once. It was dead. After I replaced this, it still wouldn't boot, and the actual R4000 ARM chip was dead. So this basically, this chip and this chip is the OS for this chip, which then reads these chips, which emulates the BMST chip and some of the other stuff. And this here is the glue logic that replaced all the other stuff. So if you look at a regular Whitestar board, all this section here is the sound section, and this is the actual game section. If you look at an older Data East game with the BMST chip that's on a separate soundboard, you can actually overlay the soundboard on top of this board, and it would literally look the same layout. It's literally a combination of the Data East sound and the CPU section from the driver board encompassed into one, and all the driver stuff that was on the old driver board was moved over to a separate driver board. And when the SAM system came out, the SAM system is basically just an updated disk that then emulated more of this hardware, but still the driver board was still more of a compact version. And to this day, even the new Spike system is still emulating the menus and stuff from the Data East platform. You would think they would eventually update that, but I have no way. So what we're going to do is, first we're going to check to see if the Dallas chip, this chip here, is actually causing the resets. So I can grab my logic probe, connect right here, and there's 5 volts located right here on FB1. That'll give us ground, or low. So this reset chip, this pin here, pin number 1, is connected to this button. As you see, that button works. I don't think it's the Dallas chip because the sound section is not rebooting, and we can just check the output of the reset, and it's high, which basically tells us this chip isn't causing a reset. Now we'll need to look at the CPU and see if the CPU is actually getting an external reset. I'm going to go over to the trusty. I would show these up on my screen, but unfortunately there's absolutely not a good schematic anywhere on the internet anymore. They have pulled every single one of them down, or you can find them and they're just not easy to work with. I honestly love working from the books, so I actually collect a lot of the books only because it's easier to reference the books, and you can make notes in them and stuff. So this is a Simpsons Pinball Party, but it's kind of beat up. There is a test point right here for the plasma reset. You could check that real quick. And it is beeping, so yeah, so the game is definitely sending a reset to the plasma display, and that is a software controlled reset. That is not a hardware controlled reset. Or at least that's what it looks like on the schematic. It's tied into A0 and reset, so it could possibly be. Alright, where is my CPU hiding? Xilinx. Atmel CPU. Could Google it. probably much quicker than me going 15 pages at a time. He is pin 40. 6809, reset is pin number 37. 40, 39, 38, 37. So it's not resetting. So that means the CPU, for whatever reason, is basically in a loop. So we'll take this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn it off, and I'm going to just pull the chips out and look at the sockets. Make sure all the sockets look good. We'll start with the RAM. This had a external battery holder, which is the incorrect battery holder. This is a 4 battery. Not sure why. This game only uses 3. And this looks pretty rough. It did have some Duracells in it. I recommend not buying Duracells. These are the world's worst batteries. They do work good. They have the most current draw. Because I used to do science projects in high school, and I think I did it like every year, testing different types of batteries, and Duracells actually outperformed all the other batteries. However, Duracells do like to leak and give out gases and stuff. So you got a flashlight and you need to use Duracells. The light bulb will actually blow out before the batteries go dead if it's an incandescent, which is basically what I did through elementary and middle school, and eventually the science teachers like you can't keep submitting the same project every year. So I got a D one or a C one year, and I'm like, all right, I got to find a new science project. So what I'm gonna do is pull out memory chip RAM first. This one's the RAM chip. This chip can be replaced by a Ramtron or NVRAM. I actually have one right here. I actually make these. I buy the chip, I buy the board, I put the pins together. A lot cheaper than buying them. I'll probably put that in here. Alright, I'm going to inspect these. Oh, well. Alright, so this socket here is badly corroded. Most likely a result from this battery thing. Let's see if we can zoom in and show that. I'm going to actually remove that socket and replace it. This might be a super easy fix. This will be a bummer for you guys. I don't know if you can see it in there. Yeah, I think right there's a good view. Oh. So this pin here is very corroded. And there's 2 pins over here. Right there and one right there. Let's see if I can get it in there. Yeah, there you go. You see those corroded pins. So we're going to go ahead and pull this socket off and install a new one. I'm also going to remove this battery holder. Also, I recommend if you're going to fix games, a good thing to have is one of these memory testers. Alright, we're just going to take this off. And we're going to go ahead and circle file this right into the trash can. To get this socket out easy, you're basically going to cut the socket. There's no fixing or keeping the socket, so we're just going to cut it out the best we can. This will make desoldering it easier. Instead of trying to remove every pin and pulling it out as one piece, you don't have to worry about damaging the board underneath. clip in a couple places. Now, pour over. I'm using a fancy Haku FM 2024 desoldering thingy, which is not the cheapest thing. It actually hooks to an air compressor. It's no longer, it used to be underneath the desk here, and it was a little noisy. Zoom out. Yes, that would be good. There we go, zooming out. So, my soldering gun here. Alright, I gotta put on my magnifying glasses. I can see it, but I just want to be better. So I'm going to go in here. Basically, going to heat the pin up. And I'm going to have to put some fresh solder down first. So the best thing to do is just put some extra solder on here to make them little balls. Extra solder is good. Basically what it will do is it'll help make a good seal at the end of your tip, and then it'll easily transfer the heat down the pad. I need to work on figuring out a way to get a better view down here. Suggestion was to put a camera on my forehead. So some of the socket just fell out. If you just wiggle it back and forth, it'll kind of just come out. If they don't, try a little bit harder. Don't try too much. You don't want to rip the pads. What you can do is then grab what's left of the socket and then figure out which pins are holding. And then put some solder on the back side. There. Now I will just flow some solder, some fresh solder over these pins. Now I will hit it with the solder sucker, remove all that solder I just put on there. I have a handheld one of these as well. It's a all-in-one unit. It has a pump right in it. Much cheaper than this one. Yeah, this one's being stubborn. So what I'm going to put a little bit more solder in here. There. Now I will take some isopropyl alcohol and a disposable towel. I found these on Amazon. They're called disposable towels. They work very much like a Kim wipe, but I find they work pretty damn good. And you can get a whole case of them for like $20. I guess they're designed to be used in the medical field when they're disposable towels. I guess you used to dry off with them. They're lint free. Let's see if I can find the link. I'm going to clean that off too. So this was, looks like someone had installed this battery holder without actually removing the board, because there's still parts of the old thing in here, and it's very corroded. So I want to clean all this up. Like I said, I'm going to put a Ramtron back in it. We just need a battery. I'm going to go ahead and clean all this up though. And I'm just going to put some fresh solder on the back side just to plug the hole up. So that way if anybody ever does want to put, I use 99% pure isopropyl alcohol, but I dilute it with some 70%. So I take 70 and 99 and mix them together. It gives me like 80, 90%, because I couldn't get 90%. It was out of stock. I could order 99% pure, and I could get 70, but I want like 90 or better. But I didn't want. You don't want this strong because this is actually kind of toxic. So toxic for you, not the board. All right, we'll get a new socket. So here is a new socket. This is a double wipe non-machine pen. The nice thing is it's got bent pins on it, so you can put it in the board, and then it doesn't fall out when you flip it over. It kind of stays on the board. And the reason I don't like machine pen sockets is when you install a machine pen socket in a board, it will plug all these holes up. So if any of the vias are in bad shape, it doesn't flow solder to the other side of the board, and it's very hard to fix that. Then you got to lift the pen out, and it's just, they're not that good. Unless the board has larger holes for via pens, I don't like using machine pen sockets. It's time for some more solder. Now I'm just going to basically reapply some heat to each pad. That's just going to help flow any solder down inside the holes, down the vias. And then I'm going to take my cloth and some more alcohol. I'm going to clean the flux off the board before it gets all crusty. There's nothing worse than having some other guy have to come in here in 5 years to replace this socket again because for whatever reason it died. Because it's in Daytona Beach and it's full of... soldering iron 750 degrees Fahrenheit. Yeah, 750 Fahrenheit. I think it's about 500. And I do use leaded solder. It's silver 63, 37%. So it's silver solder, 63% silver, 37% lead. I don't use a fume extractor. I actually have a fan blowing over there, fan blowing there, and fan blowing there. There's a lot of circulation in here. And a lot of the fumes that are coming off are not that bad for you. It's not like I'm doing this 24/7. So I did that for now. I'm going to come back and clean this again. But that's get most of that flux off. Alright. Survey says, will it work or will it not? So we'll stick with the original RAM chip. Check the pins. Alright. I just did a really bad mistake. I put the chip upside down. Same temperature for desoldering. Yeah, both same thing. Or maybe less. Nope. Yeah, both set to 750. So pin 1 on this board is all facing down, which is oxymoronic. Usually pin 1 is facing up, but who knows? Alright. So do we have a survey? Do we think it's going to work, or do we think it's not going to work? I didn't check any other sockets though. Hey, you're more than welcome to ask questions. I don't mind you asking questions. I prefer you to ask questions. You can't. I'm failing as a failing if you're not asking questions, or I'm just really good. Either way. All right. So let's turn it on. See what happens. Still rebooting. All right. Check the other sockets. That one looks good. Let's check the PAL. PAL has been replaced. But it's the original socket. Let's check the CPU socket. CPU socket looks good. Alright. Let's just leave it on this time. Let's start poking around. Look at the check the PAL chip. Taking a couple seconds to start resetting. It's definitely a software reset. I tested this RAM already. This RAM is good. I did not break anything, sir. This chip here I removed, yeah, I mean, yeah, I haven't replaced. These are all original chips. The only thing I've changed so far is the socket. If I replace this with the Ramtron, I will keep this chip as a spare. And the thing is actually earlier I actually had this board working by pushing on the socket, so I figured it just. Yeah, so you think it's the Watchdog Party, but it actually is not the Watchdog Party. This is not the Watchdog rebooting. It is the Watchdog is not rebooting this. This is pure software. For some reason, it's having troubles doing something with the RAM. The thing is earlier I had actually pushed on it and it was actually working. See, I just touched it and it rebooted. Probably is a bad trace somewhere. Yeah, something screwy going on with the RAM. I could pull out the Fluke troubleshooter and go here and test the RAM, but I'm thinking it's a bad trace. I gotta look at the traces closer. Yeah, so some of these traces look very sus. They are discolored. I don't see anything that looks like it's broken. But it is possible. Yeah, so the traces are like the color. It's just like the color is distorted. That's kind of weird looking. Looks very clean, but it shouldn't have reset when I just did that a couple minutes ago. This leg of this DS is a little corroded. Well, this is always fun. Well, I just changed out this socket already. The old one was corroded pretty bad. The chip is fine though. I can test it real quick. Or I'll just put this Ramtron in. Make sure I put it in the right way. Yeah, that's not the normal Watchdog reset. That's well, I could do it the old-fashioned way. Check every pin. Someone posted a link for all that in there. What I'm gonna do is check this. Wait a minute here. That should not be. Interesting. The blocking diode is showing high on one side. Alright, so we replaced that socket. Hmm. Yeah, it's not. Yeah, the watchdog's not rebooting. So here's the 40, 39, 38. This is watchdog. It's not resetting. The CPU is actually running. It is just, for some reason, it keeps rebooting the display. So it's something in the software is causing it to be stuck in a loop. Thing is, it did actually start before I started working on it tonight. When I put it on the bench, it was just doing that, and I had just pushed on the sockets, and it actually booted up. So I'm really thinking there's a broken trace, or one of these other sockets are bad. I just don't feel like replacing every socket, but I might have to. But the thing is every pin on every chip is acting like it's working. So it's very odd. And it's not the PAL. I can replace it with another one. See, the same thing. The sockets are actually pretty weak. So eeny, meeny, miny, moe. Just looking for any signs of corrosion, any dark spots on the traces. I mean, this battery had leaked or something at one point. It caused these pins to corrode. I've already replaced that chip socket. Not seeing anything else. Could be a. Let me look at this pen on this chip. Alright, this is U210. Alright, so 10. And like right now, if I turn it on, it should watchdog. Actually, I should leave the light on. Alright, well, it's not watchdogging, but it's just going in. So it's going in a loop. So without a CPU, without RAM, this is just basically going to count up. It's just going to act like a big counter. So what we can do is I can check each of the address pins, and they should be, all the address pins should be doing something. So we'll start at address 18, which is pin number 31. So 32 is VCC, and then 31, which is high. It shouldn't be. So the fact that 31 is high and not going anywhere is kind of questionable. The address 18 is not doing anything on this chip, which is driven by U211 over here. Two, five, let's just check pin 1. It's output enable address 15. Pin 2 is Q0 output, which is XA0, which is pin 29 over here. Pin 3. Wow, that's... Pin 3 is floating. No, it won't do anything. That's basically setting this up. So basically I have set up here on my bench is basically what a Whitestar tester would be. It has its DMD and it has buttons for the inputs, and that's it. There's nothing else. So I'm looking at U11, pin number 3. U11, pin number 3 is a data pin. And it should not be. Yeah, that's suspect. Data 0 should not be floating. All the same data bus. So data 0 is pin 31 on the processor. 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30. Interesting. Why is day 0? Why is D0 floating? Is there a pull up on this somewhere? D0 should not just be floating. I don't see pull-ups on it. But D0, that's weird. D0 is floating at the CPU. And for D0 is floating. Alright. So in order to access... Now remember, this is paged ROM. The top 5 addresses of the ROM is addressed by U211. So basically, the CPU will write to this to page this. So let me do this. Let me just put these back in. Alright. There, now we have traffic. But it never is accessing those top blocks. Output enable clock D0 D1 D2 D3 D4 D5 D6 and D7 are tied to ground. Wait a minute. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay, those are outputs. Alright, that guy's working. He's outputting data and getting data. So what I'm doing is I'm going between each trace and just seeing if it sounds the same. Looking for a bug in the machine. Alright, time to pull out the... Have a good one, man. Alright, so what I'm doing is I am pulling out like Fluke Troubleshooter. Which will basically allow me to connect to the 6809 processor. What I might end up doing is I do have this guy. This is a home-built FPGA tester, and it will connect to, I believe, 6809 processor. It's a cat box, but it's basically been modified to work with other hardware. So that might be something I can play with. I know this thing booted one time for me, so it's got to be something simple, as it usually always is. I have a power cord plugged in this thing. Why I don't have a power cord, I don't know. Alright. Good old Fluke 6809 Turbo Twister. Let's see here. This is a 68B09 enhanced. So it needs to be 1, 2, 3, 4. And then I need this CPU. Place. Now we will plug it in here. Hmm. It is saying no likey. It's failing a self-test. Oh, failing a safe test because one of the pins is smushed. Yeah, I have to test that because no one's used that bird's used. So it's been used on Williams games so far, which I believe is running the same CPU. All right, self-test good. Weird, you got to turn this thing on before plugging it into the computer. All right. So we're gonna run UUT. Run UUT. Enter. No power. Yes, we know. All right. So if I hit stop, I do read, write. Oh yes. See, now it's watchdogging on me. All right. So what I'm gonna do is I gotta go into setup. Setup. More. Active interrupt. No, more, no, more, force line, no. Alright, so we're going to do read, write, read. Alright, so I can read and write. Let's do a RAM short. First 256 bytes. What we're going to do is we're going to jump over to the desktop. And I'm going to pull up the memory map for the game. Helps if I actually type Google. Alright. Name Whitestar Pinball Driver. That might work. Alright, I'm going to go into source, go into main, drivers, and I think it's Stern? Nope. No, not pinball. This is always fun. Alright, let's do this. Let's search search for, let's just search for Stern. Sam. Here we go. Stern Whitestar. So, where is RAM region? This is one of the reasons this is horribly written is they're lumping the address map for the CPU and the sound section on top of each other. So this is the CPU, but this is the sound. This address range is not in this address range. So they start a region. So here's a region, user 1, game, and they load it 4 times. This is the display. And then this is the sound. Where's the RAM? Alright. RAM tested fine for that block. RAM short 0. Let's check the next. That's okay. RAM short 0200 002 FF. That's fine. So RAM short 00007 FF. So basically what this thing does is it will allow me to, I don't know if you can see it, what? This one maybe? Alright, let me see if I can adjust this camera for you guys here. Well, sorry I can't zoom in, but this is a Fluke troubleshooter. It basically takes the place of the CPU and allows me to send commands. I can read, write, do whatever. So what I'm doing right now is I am just testing the RAM to see if it passes memory tests. And so far, it has tested from 000 to 07 FF without issue. Now I'm doing the 800 through FFF range. I do believe the ROM starts at 1000, from what I could tell. Don't know. It just says ROM region, 80,000. Main CPU, 10,000. Then it copies. I don't. Sometimes the directions are good, sometimes they're not. Yeah, I mean it says the CPU, the ROM is from address 000 to 1FFF. That is not correct. Yeah, that's not right at all. That is not the memory map for Whitestar. That is totally incorrect. Alright, so 8,000 through FFF passes fine. I believe, let's see, let's read 1,000, let's write 1,000, we'll write FF, and then we'll read it and see what we get. Alright, so RAM short 1,000 through 1 FFF. It's 64K. What's 65355 to? Anybody know that one? Calculator. Programmer. 65535 to hexadecimal is FFFF. Alright. So 000 through FFFF should be so according to the map it says the CPU range starts at 000 through 01 or 1FFFF. Memory area at the top. So it's a 000 through FFFF. That is definitely the RAM. So we're just going to do RAM short 000. I'm going to test all the RAM now. 000 to FFFF. Failed. 2400. So what we can do is, so we actually have a fail at 2400. So we have a fail at 2400, which basically could mean there's something wrong between this and this for the address pens. Again, it has failed. Rewrite error 2400. So let's just do a RAM short at 2400. Fails. Let's read 2400, see what we get. 82. Let's write 2400, read 2400, write 2400, FF, read 2400, 82, write 2400, 00, read 2400, 82. So I cannot read and write memory address 2400. Let's try 2401. And we're going to write FF, or read 2401, 82. Let's write FF, read FF, 2A. So, I'm not sure. 2400 is where it's failing. To hexadecimal, switch to hex, 2400. That is a very odd number. 2400 in hex is a 9216 in decimal. That's a little over 8K. You know what? I just realized this is an 8K by 8. 8K by 8 would be 10. Go back to decimal. Clear. 8 times 1, 0, 2, 4 equals 8192, which is 1FFF. Yeah, RAM is from 000 to 1FFF. It tests fine. So we have no issue with the RAM. Let's see here. Bank select. Let's look at the schematic again here. So bank select plus whatever. So we gotta figure out what the address is for bank select. Bank select is what selects the bank on this, and it is an output or an input into PAL chip. So bank select is tied into great. Bank select is off of U138. So Y2 needs to be high. This is where it gets really fun, because you have a chip. You have this chip right here. That one of the output pins is called B select, which is bank select, which feeds this chip here, and then this chip here feeds the address bus on the EEPROM here. So the CPU address pins come into this chip through these address pins here. Outputs bank select into this chip. This chip then selects which bank to bank off of the EEPROM. So fun times. Um, so either we could have a bad U211, which isn't properly doing bank select. We could have something on the address bus where data pin's pulling this low and not doing it, not having it calculate correctly. We know this chip is fine. We already tested it. RAM came back okay. The trick is just trying to figure out what bank select is. I have to make a truth table. I did this once before. I lost it. Should probably keep notes and write this stuff down. It's getting 10:30. The easiest thing for me to do probably is take this fancy piece of test equipment, or this piece of test equipment, which has, it's basically a logic probe on steroids, and it will let me hook up to everything on the board, and then I can actually just look at all the logic and see what is wrong. That might be another option. Is that I had I had this one working earlier by just pushing on the RAM chip, and I swore to God that was all it was going to be was a RAM socket. And obviously, now that I'm live and unscripted, it caught me. Alright. Move this chip. All right. So I'm going to see if I can find. So what we're looking at here is the this chip here, the code on this chip. So I'm going to just start checking boundary scanning, looking for that first bit of 43. Should be, we'll just do like 2000. E4. No. Let's read 3000. FF. No. 4000. Nope. 5000. Nope. 6000. Nope. 7000. Nope. Definitely ain't 10,000. Alright. Something's making a weird noise over here. It's my logic probe. It's touching my aluminum can. Alright, so looks like we lost arcade action. We have BTOVAR3, Rogue 1RL. Hello? I have 3 viewers, not sure who's out there. Speak now or forever hold your peace. Oh, you are here? That's weird. It says you're not here. Users in chat. It doesn't show you. Weird. You must be invisible. You're hiding. You're hiding. Yay! Alright, I gotta make a truth table. I'm gonna have to figure out. Look at this 70. This U214. This guy here. Bank select. Actually, what I'll do is let's just do this. Let's just look at this. Let's get all fancy. Pull out the really big guns. Grabbers. All right. All right. First one we hook up is ground. All right. And I'm just going to go right down the line. All right. U214, which is this guy. Pin 1 all the way down the line. So pin 1. The cool thing is I can bring this up on the other monitor and show you the data on the screen. 2. All right. Then we need G1, G2A, and G2B, which is the next 3 pins. So number 3 is going to be G2A. Not sure why they drew it upside down. 6. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Alright, and all the rest are outputs. The question is do I have enough for outputs? Looks like I do. Alright. There's that one. That is status. This one's P out. PLN. SWN. Something. The thing is, I probably have a dip clip in the other room that I could just chip on this stupid thing and I could just... But no! Instead of just going to get one, I'm just doing this the old-fashioned way. Clipping right on the leg of the chip. Alright. Alright. Machine ritual. It's right here, man. This IP address change. No? Well, it's got an IP address, I think. What's going on here? Alright, this thing is seeing the internet. It is definitely online. There we go. That was confusing. All right. So let's do input. And this was only pins 1, 2, 3 is address. And then those 3. Actually, we're just going to do those 3, and we're going to add a bus signal, and close A, add B, add C, add G to A, not pin 5 was not G to B. Add up a signal G1. And then now we're going to add our outputs. Starting at 7 is status. Then P out. And then P in. Then SWM. SWSTB. BSEL, DPSW, SWLO. Do 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 do. Okay. Trigger anything. Great. Data. All right. Well, that's interesting. Wire. Alright, so we want to trigger when this is on the falling edge. Okay, play. Now we can zoom in and basically G1 ever move? Yeah, G1's right there. Ah, these pens don't move very often. So what I need to do is figure out what address is on the address bus when this is changed. I need to hook up a lot more wires. I think what I need to do is just figure out what's going on with so I know the RAM's okay. So all the RAM wiring is good. The RAM uses the same pins as address bus as the ROM. However, the address pins, the upper 5 blocks are bank select, which is an XAO. PLN1. SWSTP is switch strobe. DPSW is dip switch strobe. So when dip switch goes low, it's reading the dip switches. As you can see, it is reading the dip switches. It's reading the switch matrix. It is doing bank selects. I believe P out is plasma. IO STB is the IO strobe, which is basically sending data out the data bus. So the driver board has two interface chips. One U207, which is the 74HC245, which has a read-write pin and an I/O port pin tied to it. And then there's a 74245, a U208 that is also tied to the I/O strobe line, or the I/O port as well for output enable. Its direction pin is tied one way. So U208 basically is always sending out an address. U207 can either receive or transmit data to the driver board. So that's what IOSTP and IO port does. And those are driven through the PAL chip. They are not driven through this address decoder. Plasma display is tied into alright, so PLN, PLN and PL out actually go to so P out is part of CN8, which isn't used, not stuffed. U201, which is that guy, which then goes by the UCN8, which is the plasma. So that's P out is plasma out. So whenever you see P out, so it's never writing to the, but it sees there's traffic, but I don't see any activity on it. So what we do is we will turn this one off, don't care, and on the falling edge of this guy, hit play. So as you can see, it is writing traffic to that port. Alright, what's controlling the reset on the plasma display? Something's gotta be. I must be missing something here. Alright, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna zoom in here. Low, low, high. Let's just do this. For every occurrence of a spike, I want to make sure that this guy is high. Is it me? Alright, they all look different. I'm like, why do these look the same? Could actually do this too. Right now it's running in a loop. I'm getting nowhere here. Alright. It's 11 o'clock. It's been 2 hours. I am going to call it for the night. It's got to be something simple. I'm just not seeing it. I do have the breakout board I got from Mark Spaeth that'll let me tie directly into the CPU. And what I can do is then look at the CPU, reset, and look at a histogram. But it's not resetting. The CPU is just stuck in a loop. Why is it stuck in a loop? It keeps strobing the display. Maybe it's trying to get something from the display? Alright, so we're going to plasma reset. Plasma reset is driven by U216, which uses address 0, plasma out, and there's a reset. So the reset's not being used. Clear is being held high. So whenever address 0 is 0, and P out is 1, is latched, it will reset. Which basically tells me that if you write to the I/O address for the display, which is P out, and if address 0 is 0, it will send a reset to the plasma display. No matter... That's weird. There must be only like a couple addresses for P out. Otherwise, P out regardless of the address in P out, so the only thing that goes on the P out pin, there's a status pin which is used to look like it reads. So maybe it's not seeing, it's trying to get the status of the display. It's crazy. This is 2x13, 26 pins. There's a PSTB, PRES, plasma. Okay, so PLIN is plasma interrupt, possibly. So it is trying to read the plasma display. It is failing and it's resetting. That is what we're seeing. I didn't think the game actually ever read from the display. I'm talking to myself. I have a feeling. Am I talking to myself? Probably. Alright, I just unplugged the plasma display. Alright. PLIN is still being pinged. Alright, apparently this little guy here will allow me to connect up. This goes in the CPU socket, and theoretically I should be able to take this cable and just plug it right onto there. Not sure if it's ever been used or tested or confirmed to work. That from Mark Spaeth. So, give it a shot, see what happens. I don't know what the pinout is on it though. Yeah, this and one. Alright, that goes in there like that. Of course, can't do any of these. That looks creative. Well, still rebooting. You got lots of data. Alright, so stop this and go over to overview, delete all. All right. I see numbers. reset down. Alright, there's reset. Right here. So this guy here, that reset? Waiting and trigger. Okay, so that is reset. So I hit reset. There we go. So I'm going to think the first 15 is the address bus. So go back over here, go into this guy, and we're going to name this address, or ADDR, and I'm going to say the first 15 is that. And I'm going to guess the next 8 is the data bus. And then the next ones are just going to be no idea. I'm just going to type status and pick remaining 8. Okay. One at one time with waveform. And I'm just going to hit repeat. And I need to find that reset again. Reset looks like it's going to be this guy right here. The first one on the status line. Stop. And we want it on the rising edge. Hit play. Just going to wait for a trigger. And hit reset. Now, so FFFE is the reset block. So if we go to listing, so I need to slow this thing down. This thing is going way too fast. Let's do 50 nanoseconds. All right, it's still, so it took from FFFE to FFFF 2.5 microseconds. So we're going to slow this down to every 2 microseconds. Play. Reset. All right. guess I had my other audio on. Y'all hearing me in an echo. That's too fast or too slow because I'm not seeing the. It's FFFE 822B 8. It's skipping a step, so we gotta go back. And I could technically turn this to state. He didn't have any of the clock pins hooked up. So we go back to here. None of the clocks hooked up. Epic fail on this pot adapter. Why he did not tie in clock, I don't know. So I can't do state. So cancel that. Let's just click that down to 1 nanosecond. And hit play. Waiting for a reset. Here's the reset. So 82AA. Yeah, I don't think I'm looking at this right. See FFF again? And it says 9F. The only I can think of is this is the bank select? No. Undocumented tools. Yeah, there's definitely address lines. Okay. So the last block of the EEPROM is 822A. FFFE is 82. Right there. 82. Listing FFFE 82. And then it's AA. That is not AA. That is 2A. Alright. There's reset. FFFE82. That is right. FFFAA is not right. So either A, I have an extra data bit in my reset vectors, in my data bus, data 0 through data 7, data 0 through data 7, is FFFFAA. That is not right. Alright, so what I'm going to do, we're going to do stop. And we're going to read FFFF 2A. We're going to repeat that. Okay. So right now I have the fluke looping on address FFFF. You see the watchdog resetting. This last data pin doesn't look right. So yeah. So either this adapter is jacked up, or there's something going on with that last data line. You gotta keep in mind it's doing a reset too.
Okay, now I'm totally lost. I'm trying to read address 8000 on the fluke. It is still acting like it's not even going to that address. Alright. I'm calling it quits. Not tonight, boys. Have a good night, man. I gotta figure out what's going on. I had this board working earlier today. I knew the socket was all corroded, but it should have been relatively quick and easy. But it's 11:30. I got work to do. I will. I figured out I will post an update. Have a good night.